Good morning, friends. Welcome to Journey Home Meditation's Morning Sit. I do sincerely hope that the microphone is on today. But we'll just move through doing the best we can. We're going to do some contemplation this morning. Some shared breathing. And I've got a few poems today. Today is going to be a poem-rich day. It just feels like one of those mornings that's asking for more poetry. And in that vein of understanding, I'm going to be silent for a few minutes so you can hear this music that we have. As we come together here to collect ourselves, I do want to say that I'm happy to be here. I'm very happy to be here this morning. And I'm happy for a lot of reasons, but mostly the reasons are not the things that make me happy, but the way that happiness appears. It kind of goes the other way. Because if any of these things, these reasons go away, I'm still happy. I'm still here in happiness in this moment. And this music that you're listening to is the music of Mark Deutsch. That's Deutsch, M-A-R-K, Mark Deutsch. And Mark was a friend and teacher of Angela's. And Angela just learned that he died just a couple of days ago. He was the inventor of the instrument that you're hearing. He was a master bassist, sitar player, and he created this instrument that is the combination of elements of the sitar and of the contrabass, called the bazantar. And I've only recently been introduced to his music, which is such a strange thing, being that it's right up our alley, but that's how memory works. We don't always have access to the things until they arrive ready to be seen. And I'm happy that the music of Mark Deutsch arrived, even if it was with his death. But I am very moved by this music. And and I'm happy to share it with you. This particular piece, this movement is called Avoda. Avoda. I believe the word Avoda may be from the Hebrew, but I'm not positive. I'm not positive on that. But I do know what it means. It means the work that we do, but it's a very particular kind of work. It means the work we do in the temple. Oftentimes that's referred to as avoda. The spiritual work, the work of devotion, the work of dedication. Whether that's sweeping the floors of the temple or polishing the mirrors, or whether that work is greeting new people as they arrive. Whatever the work in the temple that we do is, even if that work is simply studying or sitting in silence to be with ourselves in a way that we can hold ourselves as a gift to the world. Because it is a gift for a person to be able to contain themselves, hold themselves lovingly and kindly. And I think that things like music are ways that when someone really gets to a place of openness, they can come through with that work, the work of the temple, that work of devotion. And that devotion is oftentimes the striving for understanding. And that's the work that we're doing here. So let's start with a few breaths. You know, in the world of jazz, when people have sessions, oftentimes the sessions can become quite communicative. There's the barrier, the wall between the audience and the performer is kind of removed, and sessions just sort of open the space. And there's a lot of communication that takes place between an actively listening audience, like an audience who is not only just listening, but fully pouring their devotion and their energy into what the music makers are doing. And there's some guidance that even comes. And one of the things that you'll hear is sometimes you'll hear a shout of, breathe it out, man, breathe it out. And that would even be applied. Come on in, welcome. That would even be applied to someone who is playing something like the Bazantar, the bass, you know. Please remove your shoes. Yes, thank you. And there are cushions in these cabinets. If you'd like a cushion, you can come on in and have a seat. Thanks for coming today. So the bass player, like Mark Deutsch is playing that amazing run, right, where he's coming up and you can feel the lift of the music and the energy, and as the energy lifts, the tempo quickens, and you feel this excitement like a heartbeat fluttering, maybe in the moment right before a kiss, or something that is building in this anticipation. And then from the audience, you might hear somebody say, "Yeah, man, blow it out. Breathe, baby, breathe." And that bass player would hear that and would be invited into permission. Now, I don't know if Mark played jazz, but I know that my time in sessions with jazz musicians, that was very akin to church. It was closely related in my heart and in my experience to the conversations that the congregation is having. And it was like the musicians were being guided and directed by the people of the congregation. When I was a kid, I went to a Pentecostal church. I think I shared this the other day. I may have even shared the poem that I wrote about my mother in church. I'm not sure if I did, though, but I believe I did. But one of the things that would occur in the church services at the Pentecostal church, there's a practice of speaking in tongues. And if you're unfamiliar, to speak in tongues is to be overtaken by the Holy Spirit, and at which point the person begins to speak in a language that nobody can understand. And that's the Spirit moving through the person, speaking the language of God, or the language of prophecy, or the language of pure expression, this expression that extends beyond understanding but goes into a deeper feeling. And in my church, there was someone who took on the role of the interpreter, who would hear the person speaking in tongues, and they would stand and they would translate. And I don't know how this person was bestowed upon with this gift or this responsibility, or I don't know what it was. I don't know what the rules are. But as a person was taken by the Spirit and they were speaking in tongues, there was a person who could translate it to tell people, to give guidance. And it was this democratization of divinity. All of a sudden, it wasn't the pastor had the power preaching down, it was the congregation was the power, and in the Christian language, they call that the bride of Christ. The church is the bride of Christ. And there's something about when a musician is playing in that openness and in that session in jazz where the audience is now the congregation, and we are the bride. And that's coming to me listening to that music this morning, listening to Mark Deutsch play that beautiful and unique and odd instrument that he created. You just want to say, breathe, baby. Blow it out. And to know that he died just a couple days ago, it's like he has breathed it out. He's blown it out. So let's take a few breaths in honor of Mark Deutsch and give thanks for that beautiful music of Voda this morning. I'm going to bring it back in. As we breathe together, let's take 3 breaths. Breathing in through the nose to the bottom of the belly. recognizing what it is we're carrying in our bodies into the room today. And breathe in. Finding any of those places in our body where we have tension or stuckness or something guiding us this morning. Breathing out. And breathing into those places, those obstacles, those barriers, those moments of trepidation or the inhibitions that might just be the one thing, the one thought between you and being here now. Breathe into that thought. And let it go. There's no need for these any longer. Let's just have a few moments. Part of the practice of finding our meditation posture is seeking balance, but another aspect of this practice is to place our bodies into a position that we know what we're here to do. Most of us don't hold ourselves into this body posture all day long. We have different postures for different times of our day, different expressions, different things. When we're relaxing, we're hunched back. Sometimes when we're scared, we cross our arms, or if we feel insecure, we hold our heads down. And we're preparing our bodies in those moments for what it is we're doing. When you're speaking with confidence, maybe asking for a raise or something, you might bring your chest forward, arrive fully, looking larger than life. But this meditation posture is a posture that is a posture of devotion. It's opening our bodies so that our front of our bodies here can be opened to allow a full breath. And when we breathe in all directions, right? So if you're breathing just filling the chest forward, you're missing out on the full body involvement and the rhapsody of that involvement with the rest of the body. So take a couple of breaths right now and feel what it is to breathe into your rib cage or to your middle back or your lower back. Feel the whole body expand with the breath. Every muscle in your body can be involved in this practice. And the meditation posture of straightening the spine, relaxing the shoulders, bringing the shoulder blades together just slightly in the back, sitting upright if you can. If you're standing or lying down, this can be okay as well. But what you want to do is you want to find what is most suited for the work that we're here to do. And the work that we're here to do is the work of devotion to the breath. And in doing that and devoting ourselves to this full breath in and out, we are opening ourselves up to experience what's happening inside of our bodies. If you notice, when you live life in a state of survival, maybe in a triggered place of fight or flight, freeze or fawn, when you're in this heightened place where your central nervous system is on edge, you're breathing in through the mouth more likely, and you're breathing into the chest. And you are exhausted a lot of times. By the end of the day or midway through the day, you just feel this tension and this tiredness, and your body is already worn out just from breathing. And it's because you're breathing in a way that facilitates the possibility of having to run or to fight. And this is all subconscious. It's not even necessarily that you're thinking about that. Sometimes we are, but most often when we live in that triggered state of heightened awareness, that awareness is of the external. We're aware of everything that's happening around us to keep ourselves safe. We're on edge. We're defensive. When somebody says something, what do you mean by that? What's that supposed to mean? You know? And all of this is the breathing. If you were to take a pause in any moment of that triggered, heightened state, and you were to recognize I'm breathing into my chest, just into the front of my lungs with my mouth, and just switch that breath to breathing in through the nose to the bottom of the belly for just 3 breaths. Just try it right now, just 3 breaths. Just change your breathing. You might feel your body begin to relax. You might feel the tension in your eyes start to go away a bit, and you might feel a lightness coming on. All of a sudden, it's a little easier. And this practice of devotion to the breath brings us from outside awareness to inside awareness. And we're all of a sudden aware that we're holding tension, and then our body's response to that is to release. Once you're breathing into your belly, your body knows that you're safe. And so then it starts to relax. And immediately it starts to release all of the things that we need to bring our cortisol levels down, our adrenaline down. All of a sudden, our inflammation starts to come down. Our shoulders drop. We become relaxed. It's easier to smile. It's easier to make eye contact. It's easier to just be in the moment. And that's the work. That's the work that we're doing. So finding our meditation posture is a way to train ourselves to know we're at work. It's like putting on a uniform. You know what you're here to do. So finding our posture, that place of balance. We know what we're here to do. To breathe in and to breathe out, and to know that we are breathing in and breathing out. This sit might be a little bit longer today than usual because yesterday um, we had a really rich sit. We had a really good set of poems and the music and the discussion, and all of it was audio lost. So I'm hopeful that this audio is coming through today. I don't really have a way of knowing if it is, but I'm going to trust that it is. So today I've got a few poems because they all worked this morning. I'm going to read again the poems from yesterday because they fit today. This is where my mind has been wanting to go, so I'm going to go there. And this poem, the first poem today, comes from Mary Oliver's New and Selected Poems, which means it's from a collection, and I'll tell you which book it was first published in. It's from her book House of Light from 1990. But it's found in that book and also in this New and Selected. It's called The Buddha's Last Instruction. Make of yourself a light, said the Buddha. Before he died, I think of this every morning as the east begins to tear off its many clouds of darkness to send up the first signal, a white fan streaked with pink and violet, even green. An old man, he lay down between two sela trees, and he might have said anything. Knowing it was his final hour, the light burns upward. It thickens and settles over the fields around him. The villagers gathered and stretched forward to listen. Even before the sun itself hangs, disattached in the blue air, I am touched everywhere by its ocean of yellow waves. No doubt he thought of everything that had happened in his difficult life. And then I feel the sun itself as it blazes over the hills like a million flowers on fire. Clearly I'm not needed, yet I find myself turning into something of inexplicable value. Slowly, beneath the branches, he raised his head. He looked into the faces of that frightened crowd. So here Mary Oliver has welcomed us into a bit of her personal morning practice of watching the sunrise. She was pretty famous for talking about how she rose before the sun every morning and took a walk. And this is where most of her poetry came from, was from these morning walks. And so she had this devotional practice to the sun, to the rising sun. And so she makes this knowing connection between the teachings of the Buddha saying, make of yourself a light, and the way the sun rises each morning. And she sees the teacher rise up even in his final hours. And she sees the sun coming up. And even though the sun is rising for the day, it's the final moments of the sunrise. So there's this juxtaposition between the ending of this beginning, like it's a beautiful set that you can see that she's creating this setting for us. Like a million flowers on fire. Wow. And when she recognizes that she's not needed for this process to occur, this process is not hinging upon her participation even. There's billions of people asleep when the sun rises every day, But all of a sudden, she feels her value with the sun gazing on her face. And that's, I think, the call to the work. Oh, I liked that this morning in my morning. It gave me a little bit of purpose. To even be available for the light to shine onto is to have purpose. You don't always have to be the one who is figuring it out. Sometimes you can just have it shine on you and you can feel its warmth. Thanks, Mary Oliver. We talk in these practices a lot about the work, doing the work. And there seems to be this like Protestant ethic or this capitalist notion that even healing is hard work. You got to put the work in to heal. Are you tired from working all week? Well, you got to work at healing. You know, we take these vacations that we need vacations from, and we go to sleep on Sunday nights, dreading Monday mornings, not because we are well rested and refilled, but because we are still depleted because we're putting in the work. But I think that there is got to be the ability to distinguish between what we're saying by doing this work and what it means to have a job or um, it's a hard thing to distinguish because in the teachings of Dharma, they talk about what you're doing right now is your work and you should be present. And that should is not so much a commandment as it is a reminder that if you're not present in what you're doing, you're going to be exhausted by the time you're done and you're not going to be a part of it and you're going to feel disconnected. So being connected to the work that we do, whether it's the work of healing something or the work of recovery or the work of building relationships or the work of doing dishes or having a boss, give you directives for the day, whatever that work is, if you can show up for it, it transforms into the other kind of work. And I think Bell Hooks in her book Appalachian Elegy, I'll show that there. She writes this beautiful series of short pieces. There's 60 of them in this book, 66 of them. And I'd like to work through this book actually here, doing one or two each morning, one of these days, but not today. Today, I'm going to just skip right to the one that popped out to me yesterday morning because it's still relevant. This is number 50 from Appalachian Elegy by Bell Hooks. All old souls chant, be tender. Walk soft, the bodies of our dead lie here. Wild flowers, red, yellow, white, adorn memory, pink, purple, blue, lost in a world of green. All have been promised, wedded to morning that will soon come, tears fallen and gone, only faint traces of grief remain. Sorrow lingers, making soil soul deep, our weeping ground. Again, the connection to Mary Oliver's Sunrise and Bell Hook's reminder that all of these things are promised and wedded to morning that will soon come. And when she uses this phrase, wedded to morning that will soon come, she's talking about this awakening into death. And she lays it out so beautifully, making soil soul deep, our weeping ground. So again, it's a way to address the work that we do. Tears fallen and gone, only faint traces of grief remains. Sorrow lingers. And then that brings us to the final poem for today. And I know that we are running long on our normal morning time, but I don't mind. I like to take my time. I had a poem that I wrote the other morning that talks about making slow tea, just taking our time. So this final poem, I found it in Poetry Magazine, Poetry Journal from April 2023. And it's by a poet from Ohio, which is Northern Appalachia, Mary Oliver from Ohio. So all of this is kind of strangely connected. I'm from Ohio. What does it mean? Double rainbow. But her name is Rita Dove. And she has this beautiful and savage piece called Tarnished Psalm. She awoke thinking Sunday. Had to be. That crack of light slivering her footsteps from bed to bath. Silence anointing her solitude. Blessedness. A word her mother proffered frequently, hissed as steam issued from the scarred kettle hoisted in benediction above her favorite cup for tea. No, her mother hated tea, was caught chewing raw coffee beans between pregnancies. Whose recollection had she borrowed? What wounded sanctimony? It couldn't be Sunday. That was yesterday, or will be tomorrow. Either way, there was work to be done. She's fighting through these lovely and maybe hard memories, and then realizing that that's not even the memory. That's not even the place. Her memory of her mother is hidden behind these obfuscations. I don't know the word. Obfuscation. Nah, whatever. It's hidden behind this thing that's a mask that appears to be something else. That's what I said. I'm setting booty traps. And so her mother is hiding in this memory that's not even hers. And she says there's work to be done. How much of our lives are hidden in these memories that aren't even real? How much of it is ways that we've painted our lives to look so that we can justify the way that we feel when that's not even what's happened? How many times have we been the victim or the predator or the perpetrator or the bystander in our memory, and that's not even our memory. It's not even ours. It's something else. And so, like the Buddha was saying to Mary Oliver and all of the students, make of yourself a light. I think the work that we're doing, when I say that we're doing the work, is to make that light shine on everything equally, right? It's to shine on all of these things so we can see it clearly, so you can see all of the pieces of who we are. You can't selectively look back through memory and expect yourself to understand all of those ways that we are carrying that with us in the room. So this practice is like that morning sun. It shines on everything. It doesn't distinguish. It doesn't, like that soil of bell hooks is Appalachia that's soul deep. It doesn't require anything but your dead body to be placed there. Are you willing to do that today? Are you willing to be fully accepted as you are completely today? Are you willing to be soul deep in that soil? So thanks for being here for those poems today. Let's take a few moments just to have a couple breaths before we go. I want to take a moment to address the Sangha here today. Do you have any questions or comments or anything that arose in your practice this morning?
I'm happy to be here.
Well, I'm happy that you're here as well. I'm happy to be here too. Thanks for coming. All right, I want to just send you to some places in the audio this morning. Check out Mark Deutsch on Bandcamp. I believe it's bazantar.bandcamp.com, Bazantar, I believe. But if you look up Mark Deutsch, MarkDeutsch, you can get to his music, and ordering the discography or sending that money along is going to help his partner as well. In this time, death brings a lot of upheaval and comes with a cost in our culture, so that can be helpful. I want to thank, obviously Mary Oliver always as the teacher, Bell Hooks as the teacher, and I'm going to track down Rita Dove and say thank you for your poem and let her know that we shared it together this morning on this meditation. So you can check her out as well. If you go to poetry.org, you can look up Rita Dove and read those poems there. You might even be able to hear the poet read it in her own voice. That's something they offer often through the Poetry Foundation. But thanks for being here this week. I look forward to seeing you all here at 8:30 a.m. on Monday morning. If you have any desire to do the work and participate together, I would love to hear your experiences, your comments, your questions, whatever it is that you'd like to share. You can do that in the comments, or you can send a private message or join the chat here at Substack. Thank you. Audio. Make refuge in the Buddha, refuge in the Dharma, refuge in the Sangha.